like a Hellcat.
Before we get started, I have a favor. If you enjoy my content and want to see me continue to improve in both quality and size, please check out my Patreon linked in the description. Any amount helps and it is greatly appreciated. There are so many rewards for each level of donation, so go check it out. Now back to the video. Forge, the legend that never was. The greatest troll in recent gaming history. Forge existed purely to throw data miners off the trail of the sort of secret and definite surprise that was Revenant. Even though he never had an in-game prototype or model, he did have abilities listed in the game files, which we will discuss in today's video for the sake of discussion and for fun of course. So, welcome to Legends Files. If it isn't obvious, we are stepping out of the narrative a bit that I started in the last episode because it doesn't make much sense to talk about his abilities, team-ups, and power level compared to the other legends when he was never pinned against them in the first place. The data mined names of Forge's abilities all read that he was a melee-based legend, not too dissimilar to Doomfist from Overwatch, something which I coined after the first reveal of Forge, which showed him possessing an entirely cybernetic arm which resembled the Doomfist gauntlet. To start off the abilities, the data mines revealed several movement or melee-based passives in his kit. First off, Ground Slam. Description: press crouch while airborne to slam into the ground below. This ability sounds quite similar to the pile driver ability used by Wrecking Ball, aka Hammond, which is kind of ironic given that Forge was sponsored with Hammond Robotics, a robotics company within the Titanfall universe. Apparently the creators of the simulacrum Revenant, the one which killed him in the first place. Considering the lack of an easy way to get airborne in the actual gameplay of Apex, I wouldn't imagine this ability would have too much of a cooldown or do too much damage because of that, but may be more knockback based instead. Onto that airborne aspect, however, Forge has another ability which is a high jump or double jump sort of ability strangely called KO Punch, described as a forward jump. According to the description, it was designed to be used with and to set up Ground Slam. The two passive abilities would be used in duality as both a set of movement abilities as well as an engagement tool used to initiate the fight, possibly providing the same level of surprise that Octane can provide, or for disruption like Bangalore Smoke's or Wraith's phase shift. Overall, I think these abilities have interesting mechanics, but they would have required him to get a bit too close for comfort, something which is shared with his other two passives. Speaking of which, both the upcoming passives are related to his melee. The first is On the Ropes. Description: enhances your melee to do more damage the lower health you are. Dealing melee damage also gives you temporary shields. The second part of this is almost exactly like Doomfist's passive, Best Defense, which has the same exact function. The first part is also something similar to an idea I had for Doomfist. Lowers overall ability damage, but then scale damage back to normal and beyond when he gets lower and lower health. I do think this passive would serve to motivate Forge players to fight in closer quarters than the enemy would expect without being a death sentence for the Forge player. The next is potentially quite powerful and sort of game-breaking. Called Victory Rush, this would restore players' health upon getting a melee kill in addition to gaining a 30% speed boost for 10 seconds. The reason I say this is game breaking, or more game flow breaking, is because all of his passives combined have a massive damage and self-sustain potential. The Forge player could easily drop into a hot zone and deal enough damage, only doing more as he gets lower health, and gaining shields only to jump and ground slam into an enemy, killing them and gaining all of his health back. That could even work against some fully kitted enemies and weapons, and even a full team if planned and timed well enough. If Forge were an actual legend, he would likely only possess either the melee ones or the mobility ones, collapsing the set into a single passive each. They would also have to be heavily toned down in order to keep him more in line with the other legends. Now onto his activated abilities, Tactical and Ultimate. Both seem to be really low power and low impact, so I'm not sure which is which, but I guess you guys can decide. The first is Pull Shot. According to the description, it's a short-range grapple that pulls enemies towards you, or can be used to launch yourself into the air. This does somewhat seem similar to Pathfinder's grapple ability. However, the ability to pull enemies towards oneself like Roadhog in Overwatch might have been cool and would have played well into his melee passives, able to get an enemy close and then beat them down while keeping himself alive. Since the ability is a dual use, while also seeming to be generally low impact, I would say that this is probably his tactical ability. Cooldown is likely similar to that of Pathfinder's grapple, so about 35 seconds. His final ability is the 1-2 punch. With this, he could charge forward and potentially pin an enemy, though it's not listed specifically, after which he could uppercut them into the air, immobilizing them, also not mentioned specifically. Sort of a mix of Reinhardt's charge and Doomfist Rising Uppercut. Now I don't see this as an ultimate either, since it is too easy to get absolutely no use out of, and possesses so low impact. It might be an ultimate, but maybe with a really low ultimate charge time and requirement, much lower than that of a normal legend. I could see this used to counter Gibraltar's drop shield, and even possibly get through Caustic and Bangalore Smoking Gas, or even Watson Tesla Gate. But outside of that, it seems like it is more of a situational use type ability, which would more or less work as a tactical ability instead of an ultimate, but like I said, both the two abilities are quite low impact, so I'm not really sure. His kit would have made him a melee brawler, which in an FPS is a bit difficult to balance, and with the current lineup, would either be way too easy, or nearly impossible to counter depending on if the opponent had a Caustic or Watson to keep him out of range. Although I think Forge would have been fun and cool to have as a legend, the fact that his existence was purely to trick data miners is enough reason for it to be unplayable, and even in lore he's actually dead. I honestly wish more companies would pull things like the situation with Forge. It would make leaks a lot more fun to follow and quite a bit less believable in the long run because of this possibility. But overall, what do you guys think? Do you think that Forge would have been a cool legend to actually see in Apex Legends? Do you think we ever will see him in some form or fashion, maybe brought back as a simulacrum by Hammond Robotics in order to actually kill Revenants? But then of course we see Revenant in the Hammond Robotics facility, so we have no idea. But what do you guys think? Feel free to tell me in the comment section down below. As always, thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. You can follow my socials, keep a channel, Discord, join the conversation on Patreon if you'd like to support me. Untitled Avenger. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Peace out.